I always was of the mind that like, man, I wish I could be an artist for a living. I wish I could like be paid to do my art. And I had been tattooing for 5 years and I was still having that thought. I've seen people who they color it like they would any other tattoo. They outline it, they fill it, then they throw highlight lines in on top of it. And, you know, for a photograph, it looks great. But for long-term healing, it doesn't hold up. They're teaching a drawing class and they use an AI image of a drawing class. And they're like a bunch of kids sitting around easels with their fucked up fingers. Yeah. All AI generated. Like, if you're going to advertise a drawing class, maybe put up a sample of your artwork. Yeah. Something.
What's happening? This is Austin Spencer here with Support Your Local Tattooer. We're here in fabulous fucking Las Vegas.
As usual.
Gorgeous day today. We are with Das Frank, the one and only.
That's me.
That's me. He is an incredibly talented illustrator, tattooer. I've known this man for a very long time, so I'm excited to sit down and bullshit, talk. We talk a lot, but we don't really get to do this.
I just did the math real quick. That's 22 years I've known you. I met you the day Studio 21 opened at the original location.
Damn.
Because I moved
2003.
I moved to town in May of 2003, come out here for graduate school. When you guys opened, I had come out to search out an apartment and start getting all that prepared before I actually moved out here.
Yeah.
And my friend Barnaby said, hey, there's a tattoo shop just opened up down the street. Because I was moving into an apartment on Trop in Decatur, and you guys were Trop.
Yeah.
So I said, yeah, let's go down there. You guys had a piercer at the time. He pierced my other ear. Like, I met everybody there. It was the day you guys opened, and it was like the most random thing.
No shit.
Damn. It'd be another couple years until somebody even mentioned to me, oh yeah, you should probably tattoo.
You were a strong, or like a heavy illustrator back in the day? I mean, you went to school for lighting design.
I moved out here for graduate school. I was a lighting designer for musical theater for the better part of a decade. And I was doing a graduate school program at UNLV. I won a competition back on the East Coast for lighting design when I was in my undergrad. And it got the attention of the entertainment engineering track at UNLV, which was brand new at the time. And so they offered me a graduate degree if I came out here and designed lights for Nevada Conservatory Theater. And so I was doing it. It was a 3-year graduate school program. So I designed lights, took classes, taught classes. And by the time I was in the end of my first semester, I met a guy named Dan Stevens. Everybody called him Dano.
Oh, okay.
And we were bar friends. We weren't hanging out every day. We weren't going over to each other's houses, but we drank at the same place, which was a bar called the House of Brews in the same parking lot as Pussycat's Tattoo.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And that was back in the day when they had Jimmy was there and Ryan Downey was there.
Yeah, stellar lineup. Yeah.
Yeah, so I hung out at the bar with him. And one night we got to talking and I said, man, I wish I'd learned how to tattoo. I might have been all right at it. He's like, well, what are you doing now? I said, I'm getting my master's in fine arts. He was like, okay, show up on Saturday. And that was it. As the easiest. Like I've listened to this podcast and I've heard everybody's horror story about finding somebody to teach them and having to go through a bunch of different people. And like, man, I hate saying it, but it was super. I literally fell face first into tattooing.
You guys just clicked. And
I showed up on that Saturday and I apprenticed for like the next year and a half.
Yeah. What was your apprenticeship like with him? I mean, he was kind of a wild dude, right? I heard like some wild stories about him.
Oh yeah. Yeah. He's in the wind. I haven't the foggiest clue. I haven't heard from him in years. Okay. I tried reaching out to him a couple of times. He drank the Kool-Aid, moved to Texas, and I haven't heard from him. I don't even know if he's still tattooing.
Oh, well.
He was, single, footloose, fancy free when I was doing my apprenticeship, and we had a lot of fun running around doing stupid shit. But by the time I had been tattooing for 8 or 9 years before he bounced, but by that time he was married, had a family, and he was all about his family.
Yeah.
He's in the breeze. I haven't heard from him in a long time.
Where was that at? Was that on the...
That was on the strip.
Yeah. So,
The family that owned Diversity, all the Diversities, also owned...
which is like a chain of smoke shop, tattoo shops back in the day. They were real famous.
But they were really clever about it because they owned all the Diversities. And then they owned what looked like a small independent shop nearby. So if you go in there and it's like, oh, I'm not going to the chain store. I'm going to this little mom and pop place around the corner, which they also owned.
which were pretty wild locations. Like I remember going in there like in high school and being like, what the?
The one that I did my apprenticeship at mostly was a place called Tattoo Heaven, which was directly next door to the diversity that was on the Strip, Sahara and Las Vegas Boulevard.
Yeah, and this is at the peak of like raunchiest areas in our whole entire city.
That was
the base of the Stratosphere Tower was where like Bum Fights was filmed.
Yeah, that was the era of Bum Fights.
Yeah, yeah. So the characters were just insane, like crackheads and all sorts of wild ass humans of all walks of life living in the streets and walking in and out of those tattoo shops.
Yeah, it was still Wild West out there. Still, cops didn't care. Street justice. Don't fuck with the wrong guy. Look at somebody sideways, you're going to get cut.
I remember sitting in front of that tattoo shop and watching a guy just walking through traffic, just hitting cars with baseball bats. Yep. Just messed like fucking everything up. Like,
oh yeah.
And those are the type of people that were coming in. Like I remember buddies that had worked at those shops and they were like, there would be homeless people that would like lock themselves in the bathrooms and smear shit all over the walls and just make the weirdest fucked up.
That happened during my apprenticeship at Tattoo Heaven.
Yeah.
I had to clean that up.
Oh my God.
It was the Wild West.
Yeah. All walks of life. Like everybody's walking in hammered and, you're on the Las Vegas Boulevard too. And like, if you're in that neighborhood, you got a real cheap hotel room.
Oh yeah. So well, I mean, that was right out the back door. Like there was diversity. There was Tattoo Heaven. And on the backside of it was, a rent by the hour motel. The Circle K was in the parking lot right next door. And that place, the sun goes down. You don't make eye contact.
Zombie land.
Oh, it goes out of control.
But the tattooers are making crazy amounts of money back then at those locations. Like,
stupid amounts.
Like thousands of dollars a day and not giving a fuck, not treating anybody with any respect.
Absolutely not.
Like there were some pretty wild tattooers.
They still, kind of tattooers have a code of like, we're going to do the best job that we can, but we were going to get paid along the way.
Yeah.
And that was definitely how it was, but they were still doing solid work.
You're right. There was like some seriously talented people down there.
Joey Hamilton was working in Tattoo Heaven when I started my apprenticeship. He was there just for a little while. He had a solid portfolio even way back then. I loved his stuff. Like his some stuff I saw in the magazine. So when I, young apprentice guy, seeing his stuff in person, I was like, oh, look at this stuff. And
Downey was in and out of those like shops in that area too, right? Yeah. Downey and
they had
Twig.
Twig came through. Yeah.
Super good.
Actually, Blanco was there. He worked at Tattoo Heaven when I was doing my apprenticeship.
No way.
Yeah.
I didn't know.
That's when I first met him.
Really? Okay. Yeah. So shit. Yeah. You were down there. You were learning how to tattoo. Well, I mean, you got out of your apprenticeship pretty quick. You're like, did it last like a year?
Year and a half.
Yeah. And you kind of jumped right in and
I had to. My apprenticeship was going for about a year. And then we were sitting in the front room of Tattoo Heaven. And this lady comes in and is like, do y'all have any apprentices?
Yeah.
Okay. I raised my hand. Said, I want you to do my tattoo because it'll be cheap.
Okay.
And Dan turns to me. He's like, you're up. So my first tattoo in Tattoo Heaven, ever touching needle to skin, was a cover up. She had a teddy bear. She wanted to cover it with a rose, and it was awful. Oh, it was so bad. So that was the thing, though. That's like Dan taught me how to be a tattooer. He didn't teach me shit about tattooing.
Oh no.
It was a lot of like figuring it out on my own, and he would stand over me and you're doing that right, you're doing that wrong, but no active.
Like, here's how you fix it. Here's how you adjust things. Here's how we grow together.
Yes, it was definitely. But man, he taught me the right attitude, how to approach people. Like from a business standpoint, he taught me how to handle myself in that environment.
Yeah,
and that was a very dangerous environment to be in, especially where we were.
Yeah.
So like, I'm very grateful for the lessons that he gave me on how to carry myself in a street shop.
Yeah. Confidence and get through things that are when you're peeing in your pants, not to show it.
Oh yeah. No, that's the first paid tattoo that I got when I got cut loose from my apprenticeship. They sent me over to a shop on Maryland Parkway called Stanky Danky. I would spend my days there, but I would come back to Tattoo Heaven on the weekends because I was around really good tattooers. And my learning curve just dropped right off because they stuck me in Stanky Danky 7 days a week, 9 hours a day with nobody else except for myself. So I stopped learning. So I would go back to Tattoo Heaven on the weekends when I was done there and do the like 9 p.m. to 2 a.m. on the strip so I could just be around other tattooers.
Yeah.
But the first time I got paid for a tattoo was in Tattoo Heaven. This lady comes in. She wants the butterfly with the cat eyes in it. And I'm all set up and I'm all fumble fingers and I'm going to get money for this. And right before I was to touch needle to skin, she goes, stop. I'm like, what? She's like, if you hurt me, I'm going to slap you. I said, well, if you slap me, I'm going to punch you in the mouth. And her husband standing right there, well, I don't think that's quite right. I was like, oh, I'm just going to shoot you, motherfucker. I turned around and jumped right into it. It was like a terrifying exchange. But if I hadn't learned those lessons from Dan on how to like handle people, being ridiculous in that situation and being just as equally ridiculous back, that place would have eaten me alive.
So let's go back. Did you finish school?
I did not.
Or did you just drop out and jump right into tattooing?
I did. My second year of graduate school and my first year of my apprenticeship overlapped.
Yeah.
So I was graduate school, part-time job. I was working the counter at the shop. I was there whenever Dan was there, doing that and graduate school all together at the same time. I was burnt out. And I had to make a choice.
Yeah. As crazy as that environment was, like, what was it that drew you to it and made you want to stick through it? Were you from or had you been exposed to tattooing or like any other wild environments like that before you got into the culture?
I grew up in Richmond, Virginia, and there's a tattooer there named. So I did art school in Richmond, Virginia, which is, a wild town in and of itself. I mean, it was an art school, art college, home of Guar. I mean, there was great music scene.
Yeah.
Excellent place to hang out. There was a tattooer there named Reverend Bob. He works at a shop called Lucky 13 in Richmond, Virginia. I try to visit him as often as I can. He was my tattooer. He did all this over here, all this right here. He did my first below the t-shirt tattoo.
Okay. So you'd already been getting tattooed.
I'd been getting tattooed ever since I was 18. I got my first tattoo the day I turned 18. I was like, all right, I got that done. I'll never have to do that again.
Yeah.
3 months later, I'm getting my second tattoo and then I'll never do it again.
Okay.
2 weeks later, I got my third tattoo. And I was.
Yeah.
I didn't do neck or anything until I had been tattooing for a while. Nothing that couldn't been covered with a dress shirt.
Yeah.
And then after I'd been tattooing for a while, then I went neck. You actually did both sides.
I did both your sides of your neck like 20 fucking years ago or something. I don't know.
15 years.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right. I like it. Yeah. Dang. So then, you were jumping around shops and stuff.
No,
you were with that same company, so you would actually move.
Yeah, I'm
shop to shop, but it was the same owners.
I don't move around a lot.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
When I find a shop that I like, I stick with it. I mean, I did my apprenticeship and then I did a year working for Diversity Tattoo Heaven family.
Yeah.
And then I went right across the street to Starboard.
Okay.
And that was Corn-Fed shop there, right across the street on Sahara Las Vegas Boulevard.
Still the same wild neighborhood, but
just different perspective.
Yeah. And there was some good tattooers that worked in there.
Oh, there were some awesome tattooers. Yeah. There were some guys there that couldn't tattoo their way out of a wet paper bag, but there was also some guys that just absolute talent. And then the owner of Corn-Fed, he was just absolutely the nicest guy I've ever met. I wasn't supposed to be hired by him. I was very tired of working for the people that I was working for. And I was taking an opportunity to just, go someplace else. Not that I was going that far.
Yeah.
I got a chance to interview with him. He said, come in, show me your stuff. How long you been tattooing? A year. He's like, I don't hire anybody who's been working for less than 5. I'm like,
oh, geez.
And then I was like, well, let me see your portfolio. I showed it to him and he tore it to shreds. Just absolutely everything in there. This is awful. This is bad. This is bad. And then I was like, well, any opportunity to learn, I might not be getting a job, but at least, I can talk to somebody who's got decades of experience.
Yeah.
I was like, can you show me what my portfolio should look like? So he pulls out this big, giant portfolio and he starts flipping through it. And I start asking questions like, how do you do that? What is that? And then it turned into an impromptu sketch session and like, oh, this is how you do that jeweled effect for that. This is how I made this look gilded gold. This stuff was like very, very ethereal, had a lot of fantasy elements to it. So the jewels and gold and Viking women and stuff like it. It's great stuff. Like very bikerish.
Yeah.
So we talked for like a good 2 hours and then he's like, bring your stuff down, bring a friend. Well, let's see if you can do something.
Yeah.
And so he gave me an opportunity to audition. Brought a friend down and I sure shit added in everything that we talked about in that conversation and sketched out and stuff like that. And I did a drawing and I added in those elements that we talked. I wanted to show that I was willing to learn if I was just given an opportunity. And he's like, all right, what are you doing tomorrow night? Whatever you want.
Yeah.
It's like, come back. I want to see if you could do some black and gray. Come back the next night, same friend.
Okay.
Did a second tattoo on him.
That's cool though.
And he's like, all right, hang out, meet the people. You'll start here on Monday.
Okay.
Like, excellent. And I was with them for 5 years.
Okay.
Until I got an opportunity. It was like 2010, and I had a kid on the way, and I was trying to like maximize the amount of money. And I got an opportunity to work at the Vince Neil tattoo shop that had opened up the street.
Yeah.
So TV was like pumping out tattoo shows.
Yeah.
Vince Neil had a shop on the strip directly across from Caesar's Palace, right there, front window.
Was that actually owned by him too, or did they have a licensing agreement or something?
He didn't own it, but they licensed his name, and he was there.
It?
Yeah, the casino.
Really?
The casino.
Okay.
It was casino run.
No shit.
They licensed his name, so the breakdown was 48% to the artist, 48% to the shop. Or to the business.
I think I remember you telling me this. Yeah, back in the day.
And then the extra 4%. No, it was 46, 46, and then 8% to Vince for use of his name. And he'd come in there all the time.
Really?
I tattooed that guy a bunch of times.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
He was so incredibly nice.
For people that don't know, Vince Neil's the lead singer of Motley Crue.
Yeah.
It's like,
if you watch Rock of Love and watch somebody get kicked off of that show, they were in there with him like a couple nights later. So Brett Michaels would kick him off the show, and then they'd come strolling in with Vince Neil a couple nights later.
And you're right in the midst of the strip. I mean, that shop didn't open up to the strip, but it was right there.
Oh,
yeah. It was on the front of the casino.
There's the front door of the casino, and the front door is like right there.
Which is a big deal. Like if you've never been to the Las Vegas Strip and you're sitting there, there's a lot to look at.
I mean,
a
lot of the places that are still open,
lot of traffic.
You got to go through a mall, or you got to go all the way back to the parking deck or something like that to find where they've hidden these tattoo shops. That one was just had a fishbowl right there on the Las Vegas Strip.
Yeah.
And it was such a good location. Like on nights like New Year's Eve or Halloween or something, they'd tell us, oh yeah, go ahead and get on out of here. It's going to get wild down here. We just close up the shop and sit there and watch the show from the front window. We'd pull up the chairs to the front window and just watch the parade go by.
I feel like so many younger tattooers haven't been put in that position to where they had to, I don't want to say turn and burn, but like really move through tattoos and with different people, different illustrations, like that's a challenge, dude. And that like thickened my skin a lot by working in a really, really busy walk-in shop. It just kind of bums me out when I hear that. It's almost like everybody just like tries to go to these like private little studios now. But I feel like you really do learn so much just about yourself and how to carry yourself and protect yourself and all those things.
It's definitely a learning curve, and having street shop experience, it really can't be beat. I don't do a lot like when it comes to working now. It's appointments. Yeah. I'll do the occasional walk-in when they come in, but the shop that we're at now, it's mostly appointment. Yeah. And we'll get the occasional walk-in, but my day's filled with appointments. But every year I tattoo out of a shop in Sturgis owned by my friend Barnaby, and me and him have been managing it for Jesus. This will be, when I go this summer, it'll be my 13th year going. And we've been managing it.
Sturgis is the largest, well-known American bike gathering in the country. I mean,
it gets out of control there. And I work harder there in those 2 weeks than I do any other time of the year, because it is just 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. line out the door, tattooing.
You enjoy, right? I mean, it's not something you would daily live with, but it refreshes it and makes it challenging again brings, in unique ways.
A passion for doing the
human
fast interaction like we used to.
Like meeting characters. I mean, you're up there meeting.
Oh yeah, I've sent you a few pictures.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just cool, and I like that. It's fun that you get to go up there and you have that experience, and then kind of calm back down and go back to your regular nice grind. But I feel like there's a lot of value that comes from that, and it's cool that you do that every year, and I really enjoy that. And you make a full-on road trip out of it. You're camping up there. Yeah, like I don't know. Tell us a little bit more about that. Like,
I have a couple really good friends that they live in Florida, but they own a house in Sturgis. And the shop that I work at is the longest running, continuously operating shop in Sturgis. It's called the American Tattoo Society, which of course the acronym works out to TATS, but I try to avoid saying that as much as possible.
It's so cheesy. It's awesome.
It really is. It's coming back around to being awesome. But every now and then I look at that sign that we have out front there, like, TATS. Jesus Christ.
You're gonna embrace it.
I have fully embraced. Yeah, it opened in 79. It was run by a guy named Buzz, and Buzz passed away the year before I started. So I never got to meet the guy, but that guy's legend hangs over top of that shop. He is constantly mentioned. You get old timers rolling through the shops. Hey, is Buzz here? Man, he hasn't been here 13 years. It's like, oh, all right. Hobble on back out the door.
Is the shop open all year?
No.
Oh, okay.
So it's like most of that town.
Like badass pop up.
Yeah. It's been in the same location. When they started it, it was literally like in a parking lot. It was like a tent, a pop-up tent and a parking lot.
Okay.
And then they made a deal with a guy named Glenn who owned like a flea market space there. And so they moved it inside, and it was still like out, and then we're talking like in the mid 80s here. It was still like a flea market kind of thing. It was just kind of roped off and like a convention. Yeah. A very unair conditioned convention. Mm-hmm. And then they made another deal with Glenn, and then they were able to put walls in, and then they put air conditioning. So it was like a big draw when they got, come on in here in this ice cold air conditioning and get tattooed.
Yeah. And then what do they use it for all year long?
That building does not exist. Like most of that town, it's shuttered.
Really?
It's a town of 5,000 people.
Tiny, little tiny town.
That turns into a town of 500,000 people.
Good Lord.
And then it goes back to, and as soon as it's done, the same guys that you see cosplaying as bikers for those 2 weeks come back like the next week and are cosplaying as rodeo guys.
Yeah, like the Viva Las Vegas kind of crowd at times, So like I love that. This is kind of what I want to talk about too with you is just you're not shy about getting out there. I shouldn't say exposing yourself to the public. Just getting out there, sharing your art. I love that, like you go up to Sturgis once a year for like 2 weeks at a time. You also do like 2 Comic-Cons.
I do an art convention and a Comic-Con.
Yeah.
So I have a booth at New York Comic-Con in the fall for selling my artwork.
Yeah.
And then there's a art and design convention. It was started off as a vinyl toy show, but it's exploded into everything else called Designer Con, which when I started, it was in Pasadena, and then they moved to Anaheim for a few years, and now they're here in Las Vegas.
Which is so cool.
It is my favorite show of the year. Not my big money show. It's not where I'm, like, oh man, I'm sold out of everything.
Yeah.
It never has been my big money show, but it is the high school reunion of shows. All my friends that I've made as artists in graphic design and illustration and poster art, and stuff that I love doing outside of tattooing are always there. And it's just a constant stream of your friends coming by your booth or you going by your friend's booth.
Yeah.
Catching up for the year and then, go out for drinks afterwards.
Yeah. And like, to clarify, like you're here at these shows on the side, not necessarily pushing tattoo art style or your tattoo style artwork at all. You're out there. You have your own whole entire catalog of collection of beautiful artwork and illustrations that are all they're all like, I don't know. Can you explain like what your style is of illustration?
A lot of it is,
I don't want to butcher it.
No, it's very easy to butcher. It's all very tongue in cheek. I love doing stuff that's odes to the things that I love. So, I mean,
pop movies and
old
music,
movies, pop culture references. I love any opportunity to take a style like that and turn it on its ear a little bit. So one of my most popular pieces was I wanted to do something that sounded like a 70s exploitation film action thing. And that's the title sounds like it's an exploitation film, but it definitely isn't. So I did an action movie poster for Golden Girls.
Okay. Yeah.
It sounded like it should be. It sounds like it should be a 70s exploitation film. Yeah. But then, you have Golden Girls, action explode, the house is exploding and they're all there with guns and the plane landing in the background, and do it as a movie poster. And it's actually, I did that for a movie poster art show that we had at Studio 21 years ago. And that's easily one of my most popular pieces that I've done. But I like a good mashup, and not necessarily in like taking two things that you won't see normally together, but taking something and doing it in a particular style. I did a piece I call American Horrors, and it's Audrey and Seymour from Little Shop of Horrors.
Yeah.
But I did it in such a way that it was reminiscent of the Grant Wood painting American Gothic.
Yeah.
So, which was only called American Gothic because it had a Gothic style window on the farmhouse behind the characters. Instead of having that there, I did the eclipse of the sun, and it's all symmetrical. The dress that she's wearing is the same calico as the farmer's wife in the thing. Yeah. And instead of wearing that flowered brooch, she's wearing the same cameo. That it's just like taking as many elements from Grant Wood's painting and then throwing it into this with the Little Shop of Horror characters. I love doing stuff like that.
Yeah, that's awesome. Have you seen like a good crossover from people you meet at your art shows versus merging of clients, most definitely. And that's what I think is so awesome and important about us getting as tattooers, getting out there and pursuing other things and all these other
that's the thing about living in a transient city such as Las Vegas is that everybody that you meet out there and
they come through town, man.
They always eventually, there's always a convention. There's always a vacation. There's always a bachelorette party. Yeah. Like, I'm going to be in town. I remember you from this. Let me swing by the shop and get something handled.
Yeah. I like that, man. That's awesome. You keep real busy with that stuff. And that's like another thing too, is like you're not shy about promoting yourself like online. You're building a website. You're real good with your social media. You're not shy with it. Like, I feel like that's incredibly important.
To keep on top of it.
Tattooers need to it's crazy to me if people don't have their own like websites and stuff. And
bowing to the algorithm is awful, but it's, completely necessary. If you're not present, then you're not present. It is what it is. We're all whores to the algorithm, but in the same time, it pushes me to make new things and produce. And it's like having two jobs. I tattoo during the day, and then I come home, make dinner for the family, put people to bed, and then I'm out in my studio until 3:00 in the morning. It's just working on whatever project I happen to be working on, or if I have a client that's commissioned me for something, that'll be working on that. Or I've got a workbench that's got at least half a dozen projects on it. I do mild sculpting.
Yeah, tell me about that. I've seen some real fun, like 3-dimensional objects. It's cool to see. I have personally never taken any illustration and brought it to life with the, 3D sculpted and printed and molded. And you do some really cool stuff.
The first time I did that was there's a art museum / pop store. It's called the Mystic Museum. It's in LA, and it is one of the raddest places. If you ever get a chance to get out to LA and go to the Mystic Museum, it is so cool. But they did years ago, they did a Twilight Zone art show, and I wanted to be in it. I called them up. It's like, well, I'd love to be a part. Here's my portfolios. And, we don't have any more room for paintings, but if you sculpt, we'd love to have something. I was like, absolutely. Just let me put something together. I hadn't sculpted anything since high school. And even then it was, awful. I had 1 month to figure out how to sculpt something, cast it, mold it, and then get it shipped off to them. And I ended up doing a bust of Venus as if it came from the Twilight Zone episode, Eye of the Beholder. So it's like the most beautiful woman in the world, but to us, pig face, big lips.
Okay. Yeah. I remember that one. Yeah.
And I figured out how to sculpt it, mold it, and cast it within a month to get it there. And it turns out the one that I finished and got there on time for the show was bought by Kevin Pollak.
That's cool.
It was the first time I ever heard of like a celebrity having
your artwork,
one of my art pieces.
Yeah, that's rad.
And
who else you got in there in the lineup?
People that own my stuff.
Yeah, I know you got a lot. I can't remember them off the top of my head, but
I say Kevin Pollak's probably the
biggest,
the highest one that I am aware of. I know my stuff gets bought for gifts.
Exactly.
The guy who was the creator of most of the cartoons for Disney Afternoon, cartoon Gummy Bears and Tailspin and stuff like that. He bought a painting that I did for Creature of the Black Lagoon, and I had done it in like a gilded frame. And I did LA Comic-Con one time, and he came by the booth a couple times, and I would see him like looking at it, and he'd come in. Can you sign this to such and such? I'm like, oh sure. Who? Any in particular? Who's it? Oh, he's the voice of Goofy. I'm going to his birthday party tonight. It's like, rad.
That's cool. That's fun. Dang. Yeah. So what else you got going on? You're as far as your tattooing going, you recently kind of just seem to be locked into these patch themed tattoos.
The patches, I love
it's wild. Like, and everybody's hitting you up for them big time.
Well, like any other thing, like just like the sculpture. Have you ever done a sculpture? Oh yeah, absolutely. The guy came in, and it's still easily the most popular one that I've done is the one that gets the most traction. I did a patch of Rick from Rick and Morty. I did a patch of his head.
Yeah, I remember that.
That was the first patch I did. But he came in and was like, "Hey, do you know how to do patches?" Yes, I do.
Yeah, fuck yeah.
I'm not going to say no to that. I've always wanted to do one.
No, you nail them and they're great. Like as far as like what we do, it's you can bang them out in 3 to 5 hours and sit down. You could do 2 a day and charge great for them. And clients are super happy.
I love doing them. I like doing ones that are more geared towards like cartoon characters and stuff like that. I mean, the basis is already there, but I get people coming in and it's like, oh, can you do my dog portrait as a patch? I'm like, I sure as shit hope so.
Yeah. And if anybody doesn't know what the patch tattoos themes are, it literally looks like a 3-dimensional sewn patch. So the textures of the threads are in there and the highlights and the lowlights, and you can see that, the wovenness of it. It's pretty rad.
Yeah. And
it's really wild.
I get a lot of people asking me like, how do you do that? And I was like, 1 stitch at a time, man. And like, there's way this, I've seen people who they color it like they would any other tattoo. They outline it, they fill it, then they throw highlight lines in on top of it. And, for a photograph, it looks great, but for long-term healing, it doesn't hold up. Because the highlight lines disappear. The shadowing looks like try to 3-dimension each part of the design, and it doesn't hold. But if you approach it the same way that you would approach in doing regular hand embroidery, it's 1 stitch at a time.
Yeah.
And that's the time consuming aspect of it. I think that's where a lot of people are like, I don't want to do that because that takes forever.
Yeah.
And there's no shorter way to do it but if you're tenacious enough, you'll get through it.
Yeah. I watched you go through some interesting, like, you're such a well-rounded artist. You can approach different styles, and I think you're kind of like any of us, where we just like lock in and you're like, oh, this is working and I really want to do it. And I want to push myself and get better and better and better. I want you to kind of go through like a stipple stage too, where you're doing these beautiful, I
still love doing this.
Yeah.
No,
some swirl cactuses and all sorts of fun stuff. I remember the textures were crazy.
That was one of the things I learned working on the strip. And I think that's one of the great side effects of working in a street shop is that, at 1 a.m. on a Saturday night, somebody comes in and is like, oh, I want a koi fish. Yeah. Oh, no, I do not work in Japanese. Like, then I'm not eating that night.
Yeah. That's incredibly important. I mean, I guess maybe I just think it's important. Maybe it's not today's standards important. I don't know.
It absolutely is.
I think so.
But I've just never been the kind of person who can be like, no, I do not work in that style.
Yeah. Well, we were just taught you weren't allowed to have that attitude and approach, So I just found myself really, really just trying to spend a lot more time, obviously, in your evenings trying to learn everything that you can.
When you stop learning, you stop evolving. Yeah. You stop trying things and getting outside of your comfort zone. I mean, you might as well just hang it up. What's the point of doing anything if you're not getting better at it?
Yeah.
There's always room for improvement in anything that you do. Even like the biggest names in tattooing. They're the biggest names in tattooing because they keep trying new things. And they keep going back and doing like looking at what they do while everybody else is singing their praises. They're looking at like, I could have done that better.
Yeah.
And just standing still on like, oh, I got American traditional figured out. I don't need to do a damn thing else. And it works for a while, but man, after a while it starts to, well, me personally, I know some amazing artists who that's all they do and they are excellent at it and they probably want for nothing more.
Yeah.
Me personally, if I see something that is really cool, I want to be able to figure out how to do it.
I like the idea of also being able to just evolve with what the clients want too, because
absolutely.
You saw me go through a career where all of a sudden I was just doing my specific style all the time. And then I just watched the clientele just switch from like illustrative color, new school stuff to all of a sudden everybody wanted black and gray. And I was like, fuck, I suck at black and gray. I hadn't been practicing my black and gray.
Well, allow me to just see what I can do here.
It was an intimidating moment, but I think, for a lot of younger tattooers, I'm like, I keep watching them and I'm like, I don't know, don't get so stuck in this one way. I don't know. Like,
Yeah,
keep a little well-rounded. Like,
speaking of the benefits of a street shop upbringing, I might not be, a master of one particular style, and there's always more I can learn about anything. But I can knock out just
do
about
some shit.
Just about anything that you need.
Super clean version of whatever the client wants.
Like the handyman version of tattooing. Can you put this sink in? Yeah, I absolutely can.
I can get it done.
Can you install a shower head? Oh yeah, I got that. Don't worry about
it. And luckily these days you can just YouTube anything, so you can take a quick lesson.
Which is exactly what I do.
One of my favorite things about you too is a constant moving and constant, like you said, you're constantly learning, constantly trying new things, which keeps you in this positive mental state to where I don't ever hear you complain.
Got nothing to complain about.
I know. And I love that. And like, I feel like if we surround ourselves with people like this, and then we're constantly growing together and evolving and moving forward and never thinking that shit sucks or it's somebody else's fault. It's like, we're sitting around. We should just be like, if your appointment no shows, you're right on your iPad working on your next project.
Yeah.
If you're, not you specific, you specifically, but like, that's like our mentality. It's like, there's always something to do.
It took me a little while to figure out. I always was of the mind that like, man, I wish I could be an artist for a living. I wish I could like be paid to do my art. And I had been tattooing for 5 years and I was still having that thought.
Yeah.
But I was looking at it like, grass is all, look at those guys doing those paintings. I want to be able to do those paintings. I didn't start painting until 2012. I was 2 years into Vince Neil. And as great as that shop was, it sucks your will to live.
Yeah.
I showed up to work. I sat down on the couch until the counter kid came back and handed me what piece of Cherry Creek I was going to be doing. I would do it, and then I'd go back to the couch.
Yeah.
There was no playing around on my phone. It was before a lot of social media stuff. So you were literally just a robot. You go out there, you do the tattoo, you come back, you sit down, and you're in stasis until that you get handed your next tattoo, which I was incredibly busy there. But towards the end of it, I was dying. Like, like inside.
The lifespan of that is short. We do see the value in it.
Yes, the money was great.
Like 5 to 10 years is a lot to do.
I had been there for 2 years. I had just had a kid.
Yeah.
The money that I was making there was insanely great for being able to, get a house, get everything I needed for having a toddler running around. Yeah. But my soul was dying. And when I finally figured out why I was I can't say I was depressed, but I was definitely just.
You think that was the people that you were around, or you just didn't have that mindset yet of
because I was around
pursuing whatever.
I was around some great people, but I never thought I had been so focused on being a tattooer for so long that I didn't think that there was anything outside of tattooing.
Yeah,
like this is who I am. This is what. And then I think I saw a commercial for Community College of Southern Nevada, and I was like, I wonder if they have any art classes.
Oh, yeah.
Because I wanted to start painting, but I've always been the kind of guy that I can't start something new without just an iota of training in it. I feel like I'm wasting. I buy all these art supplies when I buy all the wrong stuff, and I waste all these time and energy and money buying the stuff that I don't need, and I just felt stupid. So I was like, I'll take a class. I took 1 semester of an oil painting class from a lady named Loretta DeGrandis.
Oh, cool.
She taught the class for community college up in Boulder City at their learning annex up there.
Oh, no way.
Cool. And it was just enough for me to be able to okay. And then I set up an easel in my studio and I started painting, and my paintings were terrible.
Yeah.
But
you had a rough idea of where to go.
I knew what I wanted to do. And then my friend Juan, he's a local artist, Juan Munez. If you see those bunnies around town, that's his stuff. He said, your stuff's all right. Why don't you come look in at this design convention I go to? And that was the first time I did Designer Con in Pasadena. Okay. Yeah. I took my really bad paintings and my really bad illustrations, and I went there, and some people bought a couple things, and I was like, well, that felt good.
Yeah.
And it just pushed me to do a little bit more and a little bit more, and I realized that I can be more than a tattooer. But I still love tattooing, and I still love the design aspect of it. And I love the social interaction, even though I do less social interacting with my clients now than I used to.
I'm a huge fan of not fucking complaining, and you don't complain. And I like that. You're always busy. You keep yourself busy and motivated. I was just kind of wondering if you felt like that was who you were surrounding yourself with these days, or at some point in time, when you're at Vince Neil's, you're around this other certain type of people. Maybe that's just all you thought you were allowed to do is just sit there, do the tattoo and not, instead of filling those afternoons or those gaps with teaching yourself something or moving forward or bettering your craft.
Because the Vince Neil shop, they're building the link. And so the Vince Neil shop had a expiration date.
Oh, yeah.
And when I learned, and then we
Yeah.
learned about it like 6 months out.
Yeah.
And I think that's when I took the art class. I was like, I need more.
Okay.
So after I left Vince Neil, I went to work for the guy who taught me how to tattoo.
Oh, okay. You went back to that.
Yeah, he had
Dana,
opened up a shop way down by the South Point.
Yep. Okay.
And I went back to work for him, and I was there for another 4 or 5 years. I wasn't as busy as I was at Vince Neil, but I had time to.
Yeah.
My time at Vince Neil was great for tourist money, but I lost all the clientele that I had built up before because nobody wanted to come to the strip.
Yeah.
Nobody wanted to go there and pay the Vince Neil prices. So, I mean, I lost all mine. So I spent my time at Dan's shop, not just rebuilding my clientele and reconnecting with the ones that I had lost over the years, but also I went there and painted. Like I had time now. I worked on painting, but like most other things, I got really close to quitting painting. I learned as an oil painter and I switched to acrylics because I liked being able to finish something. I would do like a lot of live events with ISI. And by the time the event was over, the painting wasn't dry and people were like, well, I can't take this now. So I switched to acrylics and I wasn't liking the results I was getting out of acrylics. I was getting really discouraged. And I discovered an artist named Jason Emiston, who his Instagram at the time, he put out step-by-steps of how he did this painting of Bela Lugosi as Dracula. And like a whole new world opened up to me.
Oh, cool.
As far as like the process of painting. Like I was always of the mind, because the lady that taught me to paint at the community college, she was like straight from the tube color, not a lot of mixing, bold slashes. And I wanted to do more portrait style stuff.
Yeah.
And I learned a better way. And it totally re-energized my love for the painting. And as time went on, I spent more and more time painting, and it was just finding a way to get out in a different direction.
You've switched over primarily digital nowadays, right?
I did. That actually happened.
And you're all through Procreate.
Yeah,
which is awesome. Yeah.
But the thing is, my approach to digital painting is the same as my physical painting.
Yeah.
Start with a good sketch. Build up on layer after layer. I bring it up. So the amount of time that I put into a digital painting is just about the same as what I put into a physical painting. The only difference is I really like doing digital because I can work from my recliner in my studio.
Yeah.
As opposed to cashewing myself over top of a desk.
Yeah. Well, Shia, what else you got planned for? I mean, how's your tattooing going? Where do you want to go with it? Are you happy right now with what you're doing? And do you want to?
I'm really enjoying doing the patches. I always love doing good.
And you do other stuff, obviously. That's just kind of like a fun thing.
Yeah,
that seems to be getting real popular with you right now.
Well, I still have the same attitude about it as I did when I worked at street shops. It's anything that comes in, I'll do.
Yeah.
There isn't anything that I won't tackle. I've always been the mind, like when a project comes in, my initial reaction to it is like, I don't want to do that. But by the time I've set up and I've done the drawing and I've wrapped my head around it and I broke down the process in my head before I start, I'm excited again. Like there's, ebb and flow to your attitude towards just about anything. But, by the time I'm to the point where I'm putting needle to skin, I'm excited about what I'm about to do, which is easily the best part of the business, being excited about what I'm doing. And it doesn't matter if it's Kelsey's infinity symbol on her riblets or if it's, a big patch tattoo or if it's, a name on a wrist. It's just, I love the fact that I get to do this for a living. And it still amazes me that, I forget that this June will be 20 years that I've been tattooing. And it still amazes me that I get to make my living as an artist.
Yeah, it's fun. Any like fun new tools or anything you're using like for your illustration? Or do you mess around with any of these like AI type programs? Or I don't know, what do you think about any of that type of stuff and how it applies to tattooing? And
I hate seeing people that are advertising their art business using AI to advertise their art business.
So that's pretty wild.
Somebody was in town. I saw it being advertised on Instagram, and I can't think of their name to call them out, but because I would call them out. But they're teaching a drawing class and they use an AI image of a drawing class, and they're like a bunch of kids sitting around easels with their fucked up fingers, trying to all AI generated. Like, if you're gonna advertise a drawing class, maybe put up a sample of your artwork, something. If you have something that you want to teach, be able to present it. It's frustrating. As a tool, AI is. As a finished product, no, absolutely not. I mean,
for some reason, I thought you taught some like seminar, like illustration seminars or something.
I have taught. I did an acrylic painting class one time. That was a couple weeks long, and that was a lot of fun. I really loved teaching. I didn't realize I loved teaching so much as until I get thrust in front of a bunch of people, and they're like, "Oh yeah, well, let me show you what." I've picked up enough stuff along the way that it always amazes me that I'm nervous as all get out when I get in front of the possibility of being in front of people. But as soon as I'm in front of people, it turns out that, I retain a lot of stuff that, I could just back at them. And there's a middle school here in town that has a tattoo drawing club. And they're not doing tattoos.
No,
but there's just
the
kids that are in love with different styles and it's basically just an art club. They love drawing, and they're
tattoo style.
They
things,
just I mean, anything can be geared towards tattooing, and that's one of the things. And so I got one of my clients is the teacher who proctors the after school club, and she's like, "Well, we need a new tattooer to come. Our last guy moved away. Can you?"
That's fine.
So I started doing that last week, and it was great. And they're talking about different styles of tattooing that they like, and I'm getting to know the kids that were there.
Well, we forget that these kids grew up watching tattooing on TV.
Exactly.
That's wild to me.
And so, I mean, they're just sitting there, and it's basically just them in their sketchbooks, but they're like, this is what I like. And then there's one kid in there who likes drawing fine line Chicano style tattooing. And I was like, she's very good.
Yeah.
For, not she's like, well, here's a couple artists that you might want to take a look at. And another one's drawing graffiti style stuff. Oh, here's some stuff. Actually, here's a couple local guys that you might want to look into. Yeah. You could probably meet these guys.
That's cool. Yeah, we should really work on putting together some fun little things like that, even if they're free and it's just like a little afternoon of a couple hours to get people together. I don't know. I just like the idea and it gets us more comfortable and where we can confidently work through it.
Yeah. To teach them. Yeah. Well, I mean, doing podcasts or doing seminars like that or teaching any of, like, I'm scared shitless going into any scenario where I have to address people. But once I ease into it, I've got a bunch of really, really inane things to say that I didn't realize they were just on deck.
Do you have any advice for young tattooers? Is anybody that's like newer to this world, this entering this social media driven tattoo career? I feel like tattooing is it doesn't necessarily have like what we knew tattooing was these days. Tattooing is essentially an open.
Yeah, it's a different world, man. Drawing on the iPads. And I have an apprentice now, and I want her to know about all of these things, but I'm not actively teaching her. I want her to know where the industry came from and why certain things are done the way that they are. But there's other stuff that's like technology wise, it's just fallen by the wayside. And I think the time can be better spent focusing on her as an artist. Yeah, I did my time soldering needles.
Yeah.
But I don't think she's ever going to have to. It
might be nice just to sit down and like learn the basics and understanding of like how the tool that we're using adapted to what it is today.
Yes. I will have her solder needles. I'm going to have to go find my jig and put it all back together. But as showing up the day of and having her solder all the needles that I was going to use for that day, and then inspecting them with a loop.
Different world now. Yeah. On top of the fact that they can go to straight YouTube and learn anything and everything from a million different artists. That's pretty wild too.
And in her first couple of days, I was showing her set up and breakdown, and it never even occurred to me. But she's sitting there with her phone, videotaping me so she could study it later. And then and instead of watching the video, she wrote it all out in a transcript so she could have notes. And I was like, oh, that's really smart. I wish I had thought of that.
Yeah, man. Well, dude, what else you got going on? I mean, we're gonna get you out of here soon, but You've got Designer Con this year. You've got Comic-Con, Sturgis. People are going to be able to catch you. You started a new Instagram that's based on just your artwork, right?
Well, no, actually,
Or
I
is
had
it vice versa.
I had Das Frank Inc. as Das Frank Incorporated, which is the name of my business. And then I separated my tattoos out from that because it was starting to look very cluttered and like my artwork and the tattoos, and it didn't have a curated feel to it. Just felt like a jumbled mess.
Das Frank Inc. INK.
INK and Das Frank
INC.
Inc.
Okay. So one, your art and illustration driven.
Yeah, because I'm clever like that.
Yeah. And you do well with your online store too. You tell me a little bit about your process. Like, you said you wake up, you get the kids to school, you come to work, you're tattooing all afternoon, or if you have downtime, you're using your time appropriately, drawing. Then you're going home, doing a little family time, jumping back in the studio. And that's where you'll pack your orders and things like that.
And if I've got a project coming up, then I'll start working on that. I handle my own prints now. For the longest time, I did print on demand or print through a local printer. And
so invested in some good equipment you have in your house, which is not real crazy expensive these days, right? To get a really nice printer.
The one that I got is about the size of a bathtub. Oh yeah, it's good size.
So you're doing big stuff too.
Big stuff. I think the biggest poster I'm comfortable printing is like a 24 by 36.
Wow. Okay.
So, and I can also do my own canvases, which occasionally I do. I still outsource to the same printer for really big canvases.
Yeah.
But I'll get home. It's like going to a second job, except I really love both my jobs.
You can hang out in your underwear.
Yeah. And I do. Yeah, I'll go home in the evening. I'll if I got any orders off the website, I'll pack them up. I'll get them shipped out.
What's your website again?
das.frank.com.
Das Frank. And then fucking tell us a little bit of where Das Frank came from. I feel like you went by Frankenberry for in your early day. I don't know what that.
Okay, so
how are these given to you? Gifted.
When I started at Tattoo Heaven during my apprenticeship, there was a guy there who he was a jackass, which is the nicest way that I could call him a fucker. He was a jackass who was convinced that I looked like Frankenberry from the cereal box.
Oh, okay.
So he was calling me Frankenberry all the time.
Okay.
And just everybody assumed that, my name was Frank because if he's calling me Frankenberry, it must be my name Frank. And then there's a tattooer there, a guy named Uncle Johnny. Everybody called him Uncle Johnny. It's Danny Knight's brother. He just started calling me Frank. Hey, Frankie. He's an old Brooklyn guy. Hey, Frankie.
Yeah.
So that just reinforced everybody calling me Frank. So for the longest time, it was just Frank or Frankenberry, or just because I was an apprentice. So I was like, no, guys. That's not my name. It's like, fuck it. My name's Frank. All right. A few years go by and I have there was a DJ in Las Vegas named the Goo Goo Muck.
Okay.
This DJ Goo Goo Muck. And he was this German guy. And he's back in Germany. He runs a steak house. He's a super rad guy. But for a couple weeks before he went back to Germany, he was coming in and getting tattooed all the time. Just wanted to get as many projects done as he could before he skipped town. And every time he walked through the door starboard, he's like, Das Frank! And then fucking everybody started calling. So instead of telling this story every time somebody asks, my first name's Das, my last name's Frank. My parents had a great sense of humor. If your last name is Frank, you name your kid the Frank. And it's so much easier to say that than it is to tell the whole story. But now we have this, so everybody knows.
Yeah, exactly. So shit, you did a little collab with us. The stickers turned out badass. This chrome eagle. So these will be going out real soon here. I want to say this month. I got to double check our sketch, but thanks again for doing that. I think that's super rad.
Oh man,
we should definitely do a shirt out of those.
Absolutely.
When our skill sets get there.
Yeah.
But dude, I really thank you for taking the time to come down and hang today.
Absolutely.
It's super fun to do this.
What time is it? Am I supposed to be at the shop?
Yeah, you got to be working here in a minute. I don't know. Anything else you want to say to the world of tattooing?
Oh, Jesus.
I just
put me on the spot.
Put you on the spot there.
Hey,
Hey,
you. Stay gold, pony boy. Done.
Cheers, my dude. We want to find your artwork and buy your artwork. We go to
dasfrank.com.
We want to find you on Instagram.
Das Frank Inc. or Das Frank Inc. Take your pick.
There you go. All right, dude. Thanks so much for coming by. I appreciate you, bud. Love you, man.
Right back at you.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for listening, hanging in there, hanging out with us. Appreciate everybody's support. Thank you so much. Peace.